She's a American citizen that moved to Pakistan to create technology here, right, Rebecca?
Yep, that's pretty much the gist of it.
And while you were building the product, which were the biggest challenges you had in terms of work culture, in terms also of making people also adopt in the product and so?
Yeah. I think these are very
this
good.
is the worst part, right?
Yeah. I mean, like...
Because you have to understand also the Pakistani market. You were from the US, so
yeah.
it's like it's completely different work culture here.
Yeah.
So you were like having a wide vision,
Yeah,
like we don't know what we're going to build next.
What is the pain point? This was like 2021. Things were exploding in Pakistan.
Right.
Everyone was investing in Pakistan. Everyone said Pakistan is the next Thailand in terms of like economic sense. That's why when we were building Paismo, we were making sure it's as easy. I mean, like you see people using TikTok. Like you have like cooks, drivers using TikTok. So you want to make sure that your platform that you build is easy as possible and not complicated.
Welcome today to this new episode of podcast of Wasssl Media. I'm having a very dear friend that is new dear friend because I just like moved to Pakistan also. She's older than me in Pakistan now. She's a American citizen that moved to Pakistan to create technology here, right, Rebecca?
Yep, that's pretty much the gist of it.
So please just introduce yourself like very quickly, who you are, and then we'll dive deep a little bit in some questions about what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, Sarah. My name is Rebecka Zavaleta. I'm a Mexican-American from Los Angeles. I have been in startups for over 10 years now. I've been in advertising technology, ad tech startups, fintech startups, I guess now across 5 different startups, mostly working from California and shipping products all over the world. I've done MENA, I've done Southeast Asia, I've done APAC, I've done Latin America. I speak Spanish. I think I speak Portuguese. I don't think I speak it anymore. I think I speak Urdu. So, and now I've been working in HR tech and payroll. Been building Paismo over the last 2 years steadily, building from Pakistan, Ethiopia, Mexico, and the United States.
Amazing. Actually, I was quite amazed by the job you're doing and how you make that leap and that jump from being in America to Pakistan. But first thing, why you choose HR tech? What was the pain point that you have seen in the market? Because you've been around many other products. You told me like fintech and other type of products. You are like a product expert for the last 10 years. What made you choose this sector in Pakistan especially?
Yeah. So I believe in playing towards your strengths, and I'm a huge product person. I love building software. It's one of my favorite things, building one thing that can solve things for everyone. And what I've learned in Pakistan was a lot of basic things that are offered in the US weren't being offered in Pakistan, such as access to your pay slips. I find it wild that people have to manually get their pay slips. Also, people don't get paid immediately. So in the US, you can get an ACH or direct deposit, and you can immediately have your paycheck sort of deposited into your bank account. That doesn't instantly. So that doesn't exist here. And a lot of my wealth, so I'm a first generation American. Both my parents are Mexican immigrants. One thing that I really realized was important was how fast you get your paycheck in order to make payments for whatever credit card, your rent, your house, whatever, and getting paid at least like twice a month. So here in Pakistan, people get paid every 30 days, which for me is a long period, but this is like kind of like the norm for emerging markets. And what I realized was we were kind of like, me and my co-founder Osama, he's Pakistani, he's from Pakistan. We were visiting a lot of these companies, banks, having a lot of on-ground conversations because we were trying to figure out, what's a good product to really build for businesses. And we realized that...
So you were like having a wide vision, we don't know what we're going to build next.
What is the pain point? This was like 2021, things were exploding in Pakistan. Right. Everyone was investing in Pakistan. Everyone said Pakistan is the next Thailand in terms of like economic sense. And we were exploring the space. I'm a product person, so it's a lot of discovery. And I realized that, payroll hasn't really been resolved for people. We're spending about up to 10 business days trying to get everyone's timesheets, leaves, reimbursements, provident fund putting it all into one place just to calculate and disperse payroll, which for me is like, wow, this is such a long process for something that has already been figured out in the US.
And what makes it different? I mean, like, I understand that it's also a cultural difference in terms of managing the payroll, but what is the pain point that you feel in the companies? Beside, like, I know the employees are struggling to have their instant things, but the companies also have their own pain points.
Yeah.
In terms of managing this.
I think in emerging markets, because we have gone to Kenya, we've gone to other emerging markets, I think what we realize is that employers seem to focus on behavioral management versus like performance management. And so what you start to see is that companies over-index on company size. They'll tend to have more employees doing one sort of project versus like what you would see in the United States and maybe some upper tier emerging markets like Mexico. You know, Mexican businesses would prefer to have 50 employees versus 100 employees. And what you see in Pakistan is a bit of the opposite, that companies prefer having 100 over 50. And the thing that happens is once you get past 30, 35 employees, it gets really hard to manage all of these things from a manual point of view.
So you say performance versus?
Behavior management.
Yeah. This is interesting because actually it's the first time I've heard it, and I remember last time when we were talking, it was like there were like some companies who were adding you a lot of policies. You need to add this, you need to add this, you need to add this, and it becomes like so much complicated to manage.
Yeah.
How did you try to educate them? It's like we cannot go that far.
Yeah, I think I'm used to a US working culture. Everything is like about being on time, having accountability. People take their job super seriously. And it's like a place of immigrants too, right? You'll see the hardest working Mexicans, the hardest working Pakistanis, the hardest working immigrants from all over the world in the US. And you'll see kind of like opposite behavior in like the home country where people are a bit more relaxed and stuff. And I don't know why this sort of behavioral switch sort of happens. I do find it very interesting, but I think it's more because when you sacrifice so much to go to another country, you're probably more likely to be on your A game. And I would add that Latin America, since Latin America has been kind of like outsourced staff for a while with the United States, same time zone, they kind of sort of behaviorally changed to be more US oriented, like being on time, being more performance oriented. I think you have seen a little bit of that with India, with the Philippines, and I think Pakistan, because there's just been this new growth of Pakistan being like the fourth largest growing middle class, fifth largest English speaking population. So they're starting to work more with mature markets, and we're also starting to see a behavioral shift there with like BPOs, like back office, like processing, or even software agencies. But it's like a slow effect. Yeah.
Okay. And while you were building the product, what were the biggest challenges you had in terms of work culture, in terms also of making people also adopting the product and so?
Yeah. I think these are very
this
good.
This is the worst part, right?
Yeah. I mean, like...
Because you have to understand also the Pakistani market. You were from the US, so
yeah.
It's like it's completely different work culture here.
Yeah. I think there is definitely a learning curve that I was experiencing in the first year, and everything about a startup is learning quickly. And when I first came to Pakistan, like one of the first sales hires we had, one of the checks bounced. He claimed that he made a sale and the check had bounced. And like I had just never experienced things like this before. So we like immediately had to start building ways to protect ourselves as a company in order to ensure we hire better, that we actually focus more on like ethical hiring to ensure these type of things don't happen. But as soon as we did that, we were able to build a beautiful team. Like everyone told me in the beginning, you won't be able to build a product-oriented team. And now we have like 3 product managers, and they all follow kind of like the guidelines of like Silicon Valley product group from Marty Kagan, who's like one of my favorite, like, I guess, product influencers. And we're constantly shipping, deploying product every 2 weeks. We're like a well-oiled machine now, which if you would have asked me, we would have achieved this 2 years ago. I would have thought, I mean, we had a hard time hiring in the first place because we didn't know how to set up proper like background checks, proper like ensuring we were looking for the right talent from the right places. And I've learned that it absolutely is possible here.
And you told me like last time also the challenge that there is some tech companies, big tech companies that are arriving to Pakistan that makes hiring for you as a tech startup harder because the salary are bigger, and also you cannot compete. How have you been navigating this? Because I think it's something that's important to share with wannabe entrepreneurs or first-time entrepreneurs to have this in mind and know maybe how to navigate with it.
In Pakistan, there's really good talent, and most likely the high talent you're looking for is probably already being employed by an American company, by a European company, or maybe a Singaporean company. And the fight for talent is becoming harder, right? You're looking for the top engineers to build the most complex tech, right? You either train them from the beginning or you hire from the top, right? So like, what do you do? So oftentimes Pakistani startups are given funds from a Pakistani market perspective, but what you also don't realize is you're also competing with companies from Saudi as well, from UAE as well, where kind of like the salaries are a lot higher than what you have in your budget. So you kind of have to be a bit more mission oriented. You kind of have to build an ecosystem that allows, because it's not just about money, it's also about learning. So, and then maybe expect someone will stay at your company for 2-3 years, kind of like
that's a good time.
Yeah,
actually.
set up that expectation from the beginning of like, hey, like at least when you're here, you know, learn some machine learning work, learn how to collaborate with others. Like our team is all over the world. We're in the US, we're in Mexico, we're in Pakistan, Ethiopia. So it is also kind of like a very collaborative environment. Like building software from one person's point of view is very different from like 20 people building software together. It's very hard to work together. Yeah.
So you like talking about remote technical teams that are everywhere in different time zones also.
Yeah.
So it's kind of you're not making more complicated to yourself, or like it's easier, and or you are like also mitigating risks.
No. So a lot of my technical network came from that side of the world. So and I've worked with I guess my Mexican and US tech team for the last 10 years across different projects. So we kind of already know how to work with each other, and it was more of just sharing this osmosis knowledge to like
the Pakistani team.
I mean, even Ethiopia and the Pakistani team as well. So it's kind of like osmosis, like here, like this is how we've learned to do things over the last 10 years. So let's try doing it like this, you know?
I will get back to Paismo adventure. Is there any regulation, and compliance matters that you should have taken into consideration, or it was like a very quiet area for you? Because fintech, I know they are struggling, but I don't know how about HR tech.
So we simply calculate the payroll amount, right? And when you look at fintech, it's about the movement of funds. And the reason why security is extremely important is because the movement of funds. We want to make sure that there's no fraud, the money isn't being moved when a customer doesn't want it to be moved, right? But even though we don't move the money, we still hold data, and we hold data for very important companies, or even if they're not important companies, for a company period, right? This is like employee information. I come from a ad tech background where I know that PII, personal identifiable information, is extremely important, right? So we have been building from a sense of security from day one, because we know it's important to ensure that we are doing what we can to protect the data that we're holding in the cloud. cloud, you know. But in terms of the fintech side, even though we just calculate the number,
right,
I'm so terrified of like
making a mistake
that we actually have a very slow rollout on the disbursement side, like making sure that people can't change their bank accounts that often, because we don't want someone like maybe a bad actor, we call it like a bad actor situation, coming in and changing all the accounts and making it to just one bank account and then running away with the money. So we do slow rollouts because we want to make sure that we've thought of every single possibility. We've dotted our I's, crossed our T's, and ensuring we are considering security.
We were just like talking earlier on off camera about EasyPesa and your partnerships with different traditional financial institutions, which are banks and fintechs. How this integration plays a role on like maybe moving faster for you in the market. And also how is it important in an emerging market? I think it's more important in such market than a market in like US or something.
Yes. So this is actually a great question, because when you think about AI in the United States or even in Europe, you have a lot of plug and play sort of platforms you can work with, right? I want to sort of do AI on how people communicate with each other, and I'm going to use Slack, and I'm going to have an API, connect with it, and take all the data out, right?
And
so that's like out of the box sort of like ecosystem where you can just toy around with it. But when you come to emerging markets, it's like, who is really a payroll provider here? Who is really a HR? Like when it comes to AI, you want to work with data. And there's not really a lot of platforms where you have good quality, verifiable data to work with. So this ecosystem has to be building that sort of infrastructure so that we can actually build more fintech layers a part of it. Like, you know, let's layer in some EWA, some earned wage access sort of benefits, some insurtech, or whatever sort of benefits you want to start layering on within like payroll. So that sort of ecosystem doesn't really exist here.
And it was, you mean, like every companies also, they have different advantage and things added to their payroll. So you need to, every time it's like very hard to manage, or not really?
Are you talking about when people want to run payroll, or like I don't
no, I mean like everything that we add up on the payroll, because you have your salary and there is some like fuel money,
fuel
things
allowance
like this.
And all that
exactly.
Stuff.
So this is also integrated, I guess. So it's a whole thing that the company is.
I wouldn't say that those sort of benefits are integrated yet. It's more of just like, here is 100,000 rupees. Maybe 10,000 rupees will go to fuel allowance. 10,000 rupees will be like kind of like bucketed for the medical allowance, but it's still cash you're getting at the end of the day. You're not really getting it in different forms, but some companies may give you like a fuel card and consider it as part of that. But I haven't really, in my experience of onboarding companies in Pakistan, I haven't really seen it sort of fleshed out separately, unless it's like EWA and maybe some loan companies.
Amazing. I'll be back again to mass adoption, because I think that's been at a partner with EasyPesa that's just been announced yesterday. And also with other banks, because I was talking to Muawin last time, and I think, as I told you again, in emerging market, startup collaborating with fintech or traditional banking institutions is important to be able to have that mass of users and be able to sell and have a better valuation, of course, and a traffic also, and also learn from their data, and maybe have a quicker learning process. So how this thing, I mean, like at what time it should come, this kind of partnerships, and what is the relevance for you on the long run?
Sounds like you really know the space.
A little bit.
Another great question. I feel like the question is two-part. One is like partnership integrations, and then the second one is adoptions,
Right.
So for partnership integrations to work, both companies need to have some sort of pacing for digitization, right? It's kind of like you're just running around like a lap, right? If one person is walking and the other person is running, you can't really run together. You have to be at the same pace, right? We've also recently announced a partnership with Bank Wasssl where we're working to integrate more with their offering as well, so we can quickly get people access to bank accounts, also do disbursements through Bank Wasssl. And when companies, as part of their DNA, are ready to digitize, it's a lot faster. Because imagine having conversations of like, do you have APIs? And someone goes, what are APIs? Like that, you can't do a partnership.
We are a little bit far.
Yeah, you can't do a partnership there. You have to make sure that they have a team ready to digitize and you have a team ready to digitize with them as well. Okay, now let's talk about adoption, right? So that's the digitization part on partnerships. But when it comes to adoption, when you're selling like a SaaS tech platform, you have to think about who the ultimate user is. And for us, it's the HR manager and the payroll like provider, disperser, whatever it is, right? Pakistan still needs a lot of education happening on that side, right? Because people know, okay, HR, make sure people come on time, make sure we have performance goals. Okay, now here's this tool for you to use as well. And it's just like, okay, I didn't really learn this in school. There's no certification process in this, right? So that
the whole education again.
Yeah, so it just creates like a gap.
A gap.
Yeah, so that's why when we were building Paismo, we were making sure it's as easy. I mean, like you see people using TikTok. Like you have like cooks, drivers using TikTok. So you want to make sure that your platform that you build is easy as possible and not complicated. So that's kind of also been our core goal from the beginning, and of course localizing like the language, making it in Urdu, etc.
Oh, amazing. So
we're
you
also
have
in
also
Arabic.
the Urdu
Yeah,
and
we're also in Arabic.
Integrating many languages, you said.
Yeah.
Okay, so the adoption, and so you are training, you told me, like the teams once you are integrating it, because it's true, like there is, even if like with all the nice wills to have that nice tool that will simplify the life for them, it needs like a shift in the organization.
It kind of feels like this. You want to go to the moon, and I give you a rocket, and I tell you, all right, take the rocket to the moon, right? I feel like that's how it feels sometimes, where it's just like, okay, I have to learn how to fly this rocket. But what if like you go in and you just push one button and the rocket just takes off and takes you to the moon
in a very safe way?
Yeah, a very safe way, yeah.
And what is did you face any competition, any challenges in terms of like how you set your space in the market?
Yeah, another great question, going in for the deep questions. So some of the competition we have seen from like it's one thing to build software in Pakistan and sell it abroad versus build software and sell it to Pakistan, to a local market like Pakistan or maybe even Egypt or Kenya, right? So our local competitors are more like software houses that have built one HR tech platform and they think, okay, we can service everyone, which is not the case, because the thing is that the needs keep evolving, right? We have like Gen Z coming into the workforce, and then we have the one after Gen Z, which I don't know what their name is right now. Yeah, so you have local software house providers, and then you have kind of like US or sort of like mature emerging market providers, like providers from Saudi or from UAE as well. But the pricing is still not affordable for the Pakistani local market, or maybe markets even like Kenya. So what's important to realize is that there are also HR tech platforms in Pakistan that are charging literally dirt cheap pricing, because it's more of just like a market grab. So one thing that we're like pushing against is kind of like, we want to bring an iPhone to the market, but we don't want to charge
as much as an iPhone.
No, but we want to charge as much as an iPhone, but I'm relatively speaking, in the sense that we see ourselves as a premium product, and we don't want to price ourselves so low.
No.
Because the thing that I learned about these markets is when you price yourself so low, you get treated as such on the customer success side, on the sales side, and it's important for us to actually be a bit more expensive because the value we provide is really just centered around bringing good product to HR and payroll. Like none of our competitors are doing what we're doing. They're not building disbursements. They're not building like vertical and horizontal layers of like automation and AI enabled optimization. So our roadmap is just crazy. Yeah.
Actually, it's actually general in emerging markets, especially like Pakistan. As long as you go higher, you are more respected.
Exactly.
Even in clothes.
I don't know why
whatever.
that's the case. Yeah, like I actually learned something from, I believe, from Seema. She's one of the founders of Barize. I had gone to one of the events and I heard her speak. In 1985, she wanted to start building a company of clothing for the Pakistani market. And from day one, she always made sure not to compromise on quality and to charge accordingly. So I think that there is that space for it in Pakistan where once companies see the value of a really good HR tech product, they are willing to pay more for it. And we have seen that because in our renewals, they are willing to pay 20, 30, 50% more. As long as we're providing that value.
Amazing. So how, we'll go back a little bit before, what was your go-to-market strategy? Because I know like go-to-market in Pakistan is not like Mexico, it's not like US.
Yeah.
Even like emerging markets are different between each other. Like Mexico is an emerging market, and Pakistan is an emerging market, but like
different ball
nothing
games.
to do with it.
Very different.
So I would love to have your insights since you know both markets, so maybe it will help also. It can be an eye-opening insights for the founders.
Yeah, I think this is a very good question to ask as well, and hopefully to help founders operating in tough or new founders who want to operate in these markets. I think it's based on two really important things. One of them is trust. You have to make sure that by the time you come into this market, a company has already been told 1,000,000 times that they can deliver something, and 1,000,000 times they have not been delivered on that something, because many companies just focus on logo acquisitions, but they don't care about actually delivering the final product. So we have trust on one end, and then we have relationships. Relationships, because of lack of trust, matter so much more. You always have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that can intro you to like the company CEO or the HR person, where you kind of have a line of trust to begin with and a line of relationship building, right? And the more you're in the market, the more you're meeting people, the more that you stay in the market doing it, the more they start believing that, okay, you really do care about solving this problem, and you're not here to like make a press release and then 1 year later just like disappear. Yeah.
So having a Pakistani partner definitely helps.
Yeah.
You think a foreigner can just come jump in and create a product for the Pakistani market without having like maybe a partner or a co-founder from the market and who has the network?
I think Pakistan is like the wild west, right? Any cowboy looking to go into like the west side of like America or going on like horses and stuff and exploring a crazy new world would be better off with someone who has experience of that space, because I think it is possible. There are foreigners that have come here and that have built businesses. I think Sadape and Kispe are both two examples, but in order to truly be successful, to earn the trust of the market, you definitely need a local partner who really understands the cultural nuances of the markets they are operating in.
And there's any remarks regarding or comparison with the Mexican ecosystem? What are the common points and uncommon things that you felt between Pakistan and Mexico?
Oh, okay. I think Pakistan has been relatively easier for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Compared to, I guess, like maybe another foreigner from the US, in the sense that it is extremely family oriented, it is extremely relationship oriented. Gupshup, gossip travels faster than the speed of light here, so you have to assume everyone knows everybody, so it kind of like really intertwined circles. Like those similarities do exist. Things are centered around food, the dinner table, eating together, dinner, everything in Pakistan. Chais, having so much chai. Like I think I have 4 chais a day. It's really hard for me from an anxiety point of view. But there's a lot of similarities between Pakistan and Mexico in terms of like relationship building. Yeah, and in terms of the humor, the funness I have with my team. Our Mexican and Pakistani team is actually, they have so much fun, even just learning from each other, or even just the pronunciation of Urdu words and Spanish words, or I guess Hindi, Urdu. It's about the same, you know. Yeah.
You were talking to me last time also about the funding the funding winter you had experienced a little bit, because you said like when you arrived, Pakistan was having like a boom in funding, and then it drops like dramatically after the COVID effects, and it was a crisis in the world in terms of funding. How did you navigate this period of time that was like so stressful, I guess, and like are we gonna survive?
So when I started really exploring Pakistan, this was around 2021. Every founder you talk to, they would say, oh, we raised 5-10 million just based off of 2 video calls,
slide decks.
2 slide decks, two video calls, and they just like wired the money. And I was like, what? Like, how is this even possible? This is because at the time, everyone just wanted to get into the market, because again, everyone thought it was going to explode like Thailand. And I do think still Pakistan can still explode. Just how it explodes might be a bit different, right? So I told you we were kind of like exploring which sort of product to build. And in 2022, we were kind of exploring what to build. We were meeting with a lot of companies, doing discovery. And I think by the end of 2022, we started building our MVP. And in December of 2022, we had gotten our pre-seed from Antler. And that pre-seed was enough to finish building our MVP and start going to the market. Now, by the time it was 2023, everything changed. The politics in Pakistan at the time were pretty insane. A lot of events happened in May. And on May 9th was when we got one of our offers from our lead investor. And we had a call. And I had issues in terms of even having the internet working. And I'm just like, well, this doesn't happen in, I guess, other startup experiences. You're not dealing with like the fan not running, so you're just like sweating and you're just sticky and you're just like hitting refresh, like internet please work. I was talking to investors from New York City, like, you know, at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Understand that you don't
like,
have internet.
the level, and it's just saying like, oh, sorry, we don't have internet. It's like, wait, what do you mean you don't like have internet? But you can't also say these things too, because you're also protecting and fighting for your market. And the thing about Pakistan is like, this sort of turbulence is kind of normal, right? So people have learned how to operate in this turbulence, which is why I have so much respect for Pakistani founders. Everyone keeps saying, oh, the Pakistani market, it's so turbulent. But no one is really focusing on the Pakistan-based founders, in the sense that they're some of the most resilient people I've ever met in my life. And I do feel grateful for having the journey of, you know, sharing these experiences with them, because these sort of experiences sort of like bond you forever. They build color and chapters in your life story, your life book, you know. And I've never been so impressed with such a group of
we are caring about
people.
The founders and their stories more than the products and the technology.
It's like the things that they go through. For example, at one point our office was completely sealed, like it was mowed down, and I was just like, what? Like one of my HR person, she called me, she's like, hey, we can't go into the office because the office is sealed. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't, like, some of these things I just don't, like, as an American, I really don't understand I don't even know how to comprehend them is what I'm trying to say, right? But then when you talk to the other founders, like, oh yeah, this happened to me like 6 months ago. Oh, this is normal. Just do this and do that. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, this is the level we're operating in. So I have to like it's like we're riding horses without saddles, like, okay, this is how we do it here. So you just, like, you're a founder, your goal is to execute your vision at all costs. That's all that matters. None of this, oh, the internet doesn't work or my office got sealed. None of that matters, because that's just your reality. You still need to ride your horse without the saddle. And that's kind of like the mentality that I've adopted at this point. Like, I've had experiences where the airport has been shut down on my way to go on a fundraising like meeting in like another country, and I'm just like, okay, this is part of it.
Let's just postpone it.
No postponing. You figure out a way to get there. So the level of operating here is just insane, and it really has pushed me a lot as a founder, and I would say in a good way. But do I think the ecosystem could be better for founders? Absolutely. Like, we're already dealing with a lot of things, but
what are the things that you think, one or two things that can be changed and really help the ecosystem to thrive and have less hurdles for the founders?
Yeah, I think if investors focus more on the resiliency of Pakistani-based founders, and sort of like understanding the risks that they deal with, and sort of understanding the timelines, or like just having more of that understanding, and maybe investors spending more time in these markets would help a lot for like that clarity.
So where are you now from the expanding in the local market, and how far you want to go also? And I want also to have an idea about what is your external and outside expansion that you are planning to have, because which is good with the tech product, we can go global as fast as we can, as long as we have like a Ferrari, a good product. So tell me about those two things.
I think we are lucky to have found ourselves a space like HR tech, because the size, it's no longer product, it's platform now. The size of the platform is humongous. You can do performance stuff, you can do attendance stuff. It's just the amount of product that you can add to it just goes on and on and on. You can add AI layering to it, you can add fintech layering into it, you can add automations layering into it.
It becomes almost an ERP.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where it can become an ERP. You can create a framework on it, like Facebook did with React. Like, you can do so many things. I think from a local market point of view, we are looking to hit a specific threshold where we feel, okay, we have satisfied the Pakistani market. We know that we can absolutely acquire any type of customer that fits within this ICP. And then taking this product even further to the Middle East, East Africa, North African corridor, in the sense that, this product is still missing, because in the sense that there is no one product, even in the US, there's no one product where everyone can use an all-in-one platform. That this doesn't exist. Like, even if you go to the US, you'll notice that people use different products for just time and attendance management, for performance suite, for even just dispersing. And then it's just like you're working with 5 different products when you can do it all in one day.
So, and what is your plan in expanding? Because you told me about Africa, some specific emerging market in Africa that you are exploring, some specific Middle East market. How you are planning to penetrate this market? Do you need investment to penetrate? And like, I'm just trying to explore like how a Pakistani startup, because you are a Pakistani startup based here, how they can go and navigate on expanding in the Middle East market, which is like just next door, African market, which is not really next door. So how do you think we can go and do that first steps to be able to be there?
I think when it comes to expanding, one has to be very intentional. One has to do, just like I spent a lot of time meeting with companies in Pakistan, learning from them. we were also doing that for like Saudi, for UAE, for Kenya, for Egypt, having a lot of conversations and trying to figure out where is the best place to build another team in. Because the reality is, when you're onboarding markets such as these, you need, again, trust and relationships. So you need local people on the ground, you need local like troops who can have those conversations, build that trust, build those relationships. So we are looking at Saudi. Saudi has a lot of programs available for startups. We are looking at UAE. We are looking at Bahrain. They all have these like programs, that want to bring in more startups to their ecosystems. But it's more of just figuring out. It's not just the programs for us. It's more of like figuring out how big of a pain point is it there? How fast is the onboarding velocity there? The adoption velocity there? Because we want to be able to jump and swim and then figure it out quickly, right? So it's very intentional. So I think right now we're still in the discovery phase. I was in that discovery phase until my house burned down and burned my passport. So I had all these trips planned to Dubai, to
You've been to Saudi Arabia, Leap also.
Yeah, we were also one of the top 12 finalists at Leap in Saudi. So we were there for like 4 or 5 straight days, talking to hundreds of companies every day. And we know it's a pain point in Egypt, in Saudi, in Qatar. Like, we know it's a pain point. But it's just more of like figuring out who are the
how ready they
are to adopt, finding the right partners to work with. Can we build a good team there? So it's just thinking about all of this intentionally.
Amazing. And what, if we can wrap up with this, and maybe you can add whatever things you need to add, what will be the learnings that a founder can learn from Paismo journey? After all these things, these ups and downs, this roller coaster.
To be honest, it's been an incredibly worthwhile experience, in the sense that, again, I've met some of the most incredible and resilient people in the world. I've been pushed to my own limits. Now I feel like I can go further. I think having, like, if you're...
Nothing will stop you now.
Yeah, I mean, you do feel like nothing, either you are insanely stupid and crazy, or like nothing can stop you. I don't know which one it is, right? But I think when you are going to decide to be a founder and you're going to pitch and build a product, you really, really have to be married through life and death, that you are willing to execute on this vision, because it does get really, really hard, and you have to be able to push a team through a lot of bad days to start seeing a little bit of good, the little crack in the tunnel, the little light in the tunnel. You're like, oh my God, there's like a little bit of light. So then you can just start cracking at it further. And I think like it's just that commitment to the vision, that like you follow it until everything falls apart, that's what matters the most. And that's what I've learned about myself and in this mission as well. Yeah.
And what are the things that maybe you feel that Pakistani founders are missing? You talk about their resilience, so it's like something that is really great, because every entrepreneur has to be resilient wherever he is in the world. Right. Emerging market, it's testing a lot more your patience. Yeah. But what you think something that founders or entrepreneurs can work on and improve to maybe be more competitive on the global market? Yeah,
I think it's not. I think building from day one, I think you were saying this like in Morocco, that the market isn't as big as you would want it to be. So from day one, you are planning to be international.
Global or regional at least.
Yeah, you're regional, global, whatever it is. I think for most founders in Pakistan, I would recommend build your product to be global from day one. Think of your operations, your business model to be global or regional from day one, because we really should show the world the true talent that exists in Pakistan, and it should explode beyond Pakistan. And in terms of what you were saying, like what founders could need more, it's like I do think they could have some more support from the ecosystem as well. It's not just like take the money and build, but it's like how can we build more organizational support, kind of like what Pack Launch is doing, or maybe even what you're doing right now. Like if we could have more of this would be great. Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca. I don't know if you have anything to add that we haven't maybe talked about somewhere, but
I feel like you asked a lot of good questions
Indeed
and
questions.
we covered a lot of ground. I don't really have anything to add.
Thank you very much for your time. We finally made it happen after your house was burned and you had a very tragic situation.
Yeah.
Thanks God now that you are out of it and you are having a new life, new house.
Yeah, new house. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time, and we are trying to build, as you said, like this I'm like highlight what's happening in the ecosystem, because I think it's important, and I think that the next 5-7 years will be crazy for Pakistani ecosystem, and I hope for you it will bring you like some good business in locally and also in the region. And the idea is like to be able to highlight what's happening in Pakistan and be able to export and acting as a tech exporters instead of just importing technology from the US and Europe. It's good, but at some point we need to also build our technology and maybe export it to the world. That's what you are doing.
No, this was great. I think you've highlighted all the really important pieces of the ecosystem, and I'm glad you're doing this. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Thank you again, Rebecca.
Thanks for having me.